Welcome, everybody, to tonight's meeting of the School Board of Trustees, Wednesday, March 27th, 2013. I'd like to ask everyone to please rise and have our science teacher, Eric Hundich, and two of his students lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to start with the call to order, please. Roll call.
Trustee Rivera.
Here.
Trustee Rodriguez. Trustee Hill. Trustee Winfield. Trustee Morris. Trustee Monroe. Here. Trustee Perez.
Here.
Trustee Ramos.
Here.
Chairman Gomez.
Here. First item C1, the minutes of the executive session for February 27, 2013, February 28, 2013. I'd like to have a motion to accept those.
I make a motion to accept.
Motion by by Trustee Monroe, second by Trustee Hill. Is there any questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Rivera.
On the consent agenda. On the minutes? Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Hill.
Yes.
Trustee Winfield.
Yes.
Trustee Monroe.
Yes.
Trustee Perez.
Yes.
Trustee Ramos.
Yes.
Chairman Gomez.
Yes. Next item, number 2, personnel report. Is there a motion to accept?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the personnel report.
I second that.
Motion by Trustee Ramos, seconded by Trustee Perez. Questions? Roll call.
Trustee Rivera.
No.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Hill.
Yes.
Trustee Winfield.
Yes.
Trustee Monroe.
Yes.
Trustee Perez.
Yes.
Trustee Ramos.
Yes.
Chairman Gomez.
Yes. Next item is the distribution of payroll. Motion to accept.
A motion?
Motion to accept by Trustee
Perez.
Perez,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Winfield. Questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Rivera.
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Hill.
Yes.
Trustee Winfield.
Yes.
Trustee Monroe.
Yes.
Trustee Perez.
Yes.
Trustee Ramos.
Yes.
Chairman Gomez.
Yes. Next item is claim docket. Is there a motion to accept?
A motion?
Second.
Motion by Trustee Perez, seconded by Trustee Monroe. Are there questions?
I have one question.
Trustee Rivera?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, I just have one concern which I had mentioned yesterday, and I would like to pull that if I could, just that one claim. There you go.
There's a motion on the floor to accept and seconded, so at this point, the only time you can amend that motion is if the second and the primary mover agree to allow you to amend the motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make that motion.
Well,
We pull Title III, or if not.
that would require the person that made the motion and seconded it to allow you to amend their motion.
Who made the motion?
Pardon?
Made the motion.
Who made the motion? I believe
Trustee Perez.
did.
I can remove the motion.
Pardon?
I can remove the motion if he wants to talk about the claim docket. Is that?
He-
Can we get the monitors on?
Okay.
Can't hear them.
Withdraw the whole thing.
If there's been a motion and a second, and it's open for discussion, so if you would like to discuss any part of the claim docket, you can.
Right. The only part that I wanted to talk about was just about Title III. I'm not real comfortable with us paying $30,000 in lieu of our conversation in our executive session.
Well, that is perfectly well for you to discuss it, if you want.
And that's what I'm trying to discuss. I'm just not comfortable with it.
Okay, sorry. Next.
What page is that?
And anybody can say whether.
Is there any further discussion? That's the next issue.
Is there any further discussion?
We couldn't hear what he was saying.
Can't hear him from over here.
Which item he wants to discuss?
Okay. Well, Trustee Rivera said that he was uncomfortable with one of the items on the claim docket involving the Transportation Department. And that's his discussion on it. So the next step would be if there's any further discussion or any further motions.
No, it was on Title III.
I know, I saw it.
Title III.
Talking about Title III.
Right.
So if there are no further discussions, then you can move on to vote on the motion to accept.
Make a motion to accept the amended docket.
There is no motion right now.
Yeah, they made the motion to accept.
I understand
so-
that, but
Pardon?
I understand that, but she's saying that there's an amended motion. There is no amended motion.
There is no amended motion unless the people who made the original motion agree to allow it to be amended.
Is there a page number we can refer to?
Trustee Rivera, is there a page number you'd like us to look at?
Pardon me, I didn't hear you because this sound system
Is there a page that you want us to
What
look at?
page?
That was page 60, if you recall.
Page 60.
That was claim 45752. And yesterday we had an elaborate conversation which I wasn't real comfortable with this particular payment due to some other factors that we discussed.
All right. Is it easier for you to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Rivera is questioning the claim on page 60 for the NCS Pearson, Inc. for $30,000 for COP training done in October of 2012.
These are contractual services.
Now I can't hear you.
These are, she said these are contractual services.
That's correct.
They've already been,
They've
they've already done the training.
The training has already taken place in October of 2012. And I believe, it was a contractual obligation. Mr. President, the next step would be, if there's no further discussion, to vote on the motion to accept.
Okay. Trustee Perez, do you want to maintain your motion?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Rivera,
Absolutely not.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Trustee Hill,
No.
Trustee Winfield,
Yes.
Trustee Monroe,
Yes.
Trustee Perez,
Yes.
Trustee Ramos?
Yes.
Chairman Gomez?
Yes. Excuse me, that vote was 6-2? Thank you. Next item is communications, superintendent's recognitions and announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. On March 11th of this month, a number of students had a chance to go to Indianapolis and participate in the Indiana State House Latino Student Congressional Page Day. Students will be introduced by their sponsor, teacher at the high school, Veronica Garcia. We can go into the description of the event, but I think it'd be more important to hear Mrs. Garcia's presentation of that day along with students, and I believe if you pay attention to the monitor, you'll be able to see that as well. Mrs. Garcia? Excuse me if I can. Winston, we're getting a hum here in the front. I don't know if that's common. From the laptops, okay.
Hi, good evening. Veronica Garcia, East Chicago Central High School. I had the extreme pleasure of being able to escort these students to Indianapolis.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
We got to face this way.
Sorry.
There you go. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, used to talk that way. We went to Indianapolis for the Latino Student Day at the Indiana State House. It was the 8th year that they've done this, the 2nd year consecutively that I've been able to work with such amazing students. We're going to go through the slideshow, and the students themselves will kind of let you know about their experiences.
Could you introduce yourselves as you're ready to speak?
Hello, fellow board members. My name is Michael Mora, and as you can see in the slideshow, what we did first was we went through a mock legislative session. They showed us the process of how they read bills. They usually read them 3 times and go over them again. We also saw students get up and do the process themselves. They argued back and forth. It was a very enriching experience for me because I learned and I saw how the process is done. So it was very intriguing for me. It made me want to learn more about it. Good evening. My name is Rogelio Salinas. First of all, I want to say what an honor it was to take a trip over there to Indianapolis. This was my 2nd year going, and I thought it was a more learning experience since the 1st year. The representatives taught the students how a bill is first read in the committee. So they all give like a great example of all the students. Former Representative John Aguilera, Representative Michael Murphy, and Representative Maria Candelaria Reardon. Miss Candelaria Reardon was really generous to us, especially since she knows Miss Garcia very close. Okay. This was like my favorite part of the trip, having lunch. The food is really good. Everyone was so nice to each other. They all served us pizza. And Ms. Candelaria was so kind to me. She gave us cookies because I had asked, since last year, we had gotten cookies, and this year we were like, so this year we're not going to get anything, just like that. So she was really kind to us for that. Really appreciate that.
This was a very, very enriching experience. Oh, my bad. My name is Jackie. This is my 1st year going to this trip, and I I found it very enriching. You got to meet your representative. You get more of a sense of what really is going on. You're able to experience it first person, you're there. It was a very wonderful place to be in and be able to be brought into their world, what's going on, the role that we have, telling them what are our issues, what they can help us on.
Hello, my name is Griselda Espinoza. I was so honored to be able to go to this field trip. We got to sit in the House of Gallery in the first row, and we got to see how they pass the stuff, the amendments, and how they get their own seats, and how they have their own yes and no buttons, and how they get to vote. It was a really good experience.
Hi, my name is Araceli, and the experience at the State House was very nice. It was my first year going. I was very happy that I was chosen to go. As you can see in the slideshow, those were statues that were in the house. The house was very big and very pretty. This one over here with the little designs, that was what was on all the way at the ceiling, on the dome. It was very impressive to me because you don't see that around, only in, of course, the State House. In this picture, we were inside the Supreme Court. They were pretty much telling us how they have all these pictures of all the different the different judges that have been there. They had this chandelier there that I found very impressive because they said it was worth over $15,000, and I thought that was very.
Hi, my name's Omar Nunez, and as you can see in the Supreme Court picture, the chairs that we're sitting in are the original ones they had since the first day was open, so that was also an experience that I find very intriguing to know that history still lives on no matter how much years have passed. And here's Jackie.
A very interesting note was that you could tell in the picture, I'm looking upwards, they were mentioning that all the decor and the accent painting on the walls and the ceilings were actually painted with 24 karat gold. And I think that was something very impressive too, because I mean, when do you really see that?
That was me sitting in the chair with our friend Serena, which she couldn't make it tonight, and Griselda. The chairs were pretty comfortable. We were at the Senate.
Since everyone ran into the Senate and we were didn't have enough seats, I just spotted one, so I was the only one who got to sit in one of the seats. I felt like okay, it was a really honor because this year that was something new compared to last year. So
in the pictures you see, we are in Governor Pence's office, which is we're getting a tour of his office, and we could see pictures of former governors, and we also got to see Governor Pence's main quarters. It was, I think for me, the most favorite part from the trip for me was actually getting to meet Governor Pence in person. As you see him up there in the first picture to the left, that's when he showed up, and I was in the first few rows. So when he was greeting us, I got to greet him. I mentioned him my name, and I shook his hand. And I think that was one of the most memorable experiences for me.
Right here you can see us with the governor, all of us in the school together. Some of us are missing, Serena, Milagros, and Jose. They couldn't be here today, and right there you can see me standing right by the governor, and he's saying the moment he sees me, like, he sees the future governor and all of us, and he shook my hand, took a picture, and I feel like an honor. I just want to keep going on every single day with me.
Thank you to my principal and to the school board for allowing us to have this unique opportunity and give the students a real hands-on experience for the legislative process. Thank you.
I might add that there were only 100 students invited to attend this year, and very happy that we had our students and sponsors from East Chicago be able to do that. So also thank Mrs. Jagger for her help and coordination of the effort as well. The next group, basically, just so you're aware, the board members have a copy of the presentation and the slides, so they're going to frame a few of those photos and save it for prosperity when kids are older, when you're next to the governor. Science Olympiad has been around a while. Basically, it's a state competition. Starts with a qualifying regional. This past March 16th, our team from East Chicago that's had a history of competing and doing very well placed high enough to advance to the state finals in Bloomington this past weekend. Overall, our team, well, we'll save that. In your packet tonight, you have kind of the events, competition events that students have to compete in. There's 2.5 pages of these, but just to highlight a few, there's anatomy and physiology, boom a lever, that'll be an interesting topic, circuit labs, crime busters, dynamic planet, elastic launch glider, experimental design, Fermi questions, meteorology, metric mastery, Mission Impossible, not the movie, gravity vehicle, search for the stars, road scholar, and some favorites of the rotor egg drop, sounds of music, and the highlight, thermodynamics. So this is not made by Mattel stuff. This is pretty detailed and hard. And in order to get to the state is one thing, but to do well is another. And we're very happy to report that of the 313 high schools that have the opportunity to participate in this event, 125 advanced to that level, and our team from East Chicago placed 24th out of 125. So, Mr. Kundich, their sponsor, yeah, you can clap for that. Yeah. Mr. Kundich, and assisted by others, other teachers and sponsors, first they're going to start with a few brief presentations on some gadgets, and then we'll get into the actual recognition of their accomplishments. Mr. Kundich.
Okay, we're going to start. I'm going to start by just introducing myself. My name is Eric Kundich. I've been a teacher in the district for the past 11 years. The first 7 I spent at Westside Junior High School, and the past 4 here at Central High. I've been involved with Science Olympiad for all 11 years and believe it is a great program because of its stress on the growing importance of math and science in high school curriculum. It also provides our students an opportunity to compete with other schools on a statewide level. This gives our students a view of the competition that they will face as they move on into college and beyond. And although we're going to do a few presentations here, I'd also like to just thank a few people before I let the students talk. I want to make sure I thank the superintendent's office, especially Dr. Larson, the entire school board, Central High School administration, especially Mr. McCullum and Mrs. Jagger, Central High faculty and staff. The maintenance staff really does a great job putting up with us. Our practices run from about 6:30, 7 o'clock till 9:30 at night. I coached the girls basketball team throughout the winter, and these students, there's 14 of them that were a part of the program. They go home, do their homework, have dinner with their families, and come back, and that's asking a lot of the kids, but really proud of what they do. Finally, I just want to make sure I thank their parents for allowing them to compete and participate in this program. And finally, I want to make sure I thank these two other individuals. Peter Setnicker is a teacher here at Central High School. He's taking some college classes right now, but he's here a couple nights a week and really takes some of the stress off of my life. Keeps me organized. It's a little bit difficult at times. There's a lot of paperwork involved. I appreciate his help. And also Elizabeth Rivera, a freshman biology teacher and also a parent of Science Olympians. I don't know if she's here tonight, I didn't see her, but she volunteers her time to come to a lot of the, supervise our children as they compete in the events. Okay. At this point, I'm going to have one of our senior captains, Jackie Menya, come up and just tell you a little bit more about Science Olympiad and about our experiences this year.
Good evening. Thank you. I'm Jackie. I've been a part of Science Olympiad for around 4 years now, and I truly believe that it is something so engaging and so enriching, something you get an experience in sciences that you probably would have never had a chance to any other time in your life. We are the Olympics of Science. All the high schools, all the junior high schools, they act as our countries. Every team, they have 15 members approximately. We all compete in 23 events. And at first, 15 people to do 23 events. We have to double up. We have to do a lot of events. There's studying, there's engineering. Sometimes we do both. And we first begin practicing and then competing in invitationals, which are held at different high schools and other middle schools, depending on the division that you're in. These invitationals really help you get a sense of what it is going to be competing like at state or at a higher level. And once you get that experience and more practice, hopefully we place high enough to be able to go on to state. We went to state again this year, and it was a wonderful experience. I can't explain how difficult everything is. It's not as easy as it seems. We study a lot. We have to work really, really hard. We compete against all these other schools. We take college level tests, things that no one else in our school would really know. We build things that other people, they look at and they don't know what those things are for. They don't know what engineering really can do. It's something very, very engaging, and I think it is a great program for our high school and for every single student to have.
Okay, we brought a few of our devices here tonight. I don't want to, we're not going to be able to run them all for you live, but at least we'll be able to explain what we had to do in those particular events. I'm going to start off with an event called Boom-A-Lever. Mr. Harding mentioned Boom-A-Lever. It's kind of a funny name.
Hello, my name is Clemente Tirado, and what you see Mr. Kundich holding, that is a Boom-A-Lever. The objective of this event is to build a Boom-A-Lever as light as possible, and it should be able to hold as much weight as possible. So that weighs approximately 10 grams, and it's supposed to hold 15 kilograms. Which is about 35 pounds. So I built that using wood and glue, and it's pretty time consuming, but it's worth it once you see it hold all the weight. This year I placed sixth out of the I forgot how many schools. It was a pretty high ranking.
I just want to add, sometimes they forget about bragging about themselves. Clemente's done this for 2 years. Last year and this year, we competed about 5 invitationals before we go to state. 4 invitationals and then the Purdue Calumet Regional. And believe that he never finished out of the top 3 until the state tournament. And we pushed him a little harder and we make him take some risks at state. But he never finished out of the top 3. I told him to wear their medals tonight. They didn't do that, but he's got a bunch of hardware from the last 2 years for this event, and also last year was you had to build a tower to do the same kind of task. So anyway, I just want to applaud him again. He did a great job. Okay, the next event I'm going to bring up Alan Del Rio. Alan is currently our valedictorian here at the high school. He'll be graduating and going on to college. Not sure yet, but where, but we know he's going somewhere.
Hello, well, my name is Alan Del Rio, and I was in an event called MagLove. It was based on this new technology it's based on a train that runs on magnets. It originates in Germany and Japan. Pretty much the train levitates, it sits a couple inches above the ground, and it reduces friction, which allows it to go faster and causes really less accidents. And this is kind of the event. The event was, we had to run this little car a desired distance. Pretty much the winner was whichever car went the fastest. So it kind of levitates. You can't really see it now. You have to come up close, but it also turns on. Would you like to turn it on? We go. And it just moves. And he broke it. But yeah, that was it. We did pretty well that state. This was a relatively new event, so we're not too good at it at first, but we placed 12, so I guess that was something.
I'm next going to call up one of our sophomores here, Javier Medina. He is also, he was very involved with Clemente Tirado that built the Boom Lever. He was very involved with him last year in a lot of the building events. These two guys, I mean, all these guys work hard, but these 2 guys, there were some nights I wanted to go home because no one was showing up at practice, and these 2 always showed up. So Javier is going to explain an event called Robot Arm.
Hello. My name is Javier Medina, he just introduced me, and this is the Robot Arm. The point of this event is to use this arm that we built, well, not technically us, a former Olympian from a couple years back built it and helped us build it, I mean. And me and my partner, Clemente Tirado, have to control the robot and collect as many items as we can and put them in the correct containers by the time limit, which was 3 minutes. The objects include pencils, PVC pipes, ping pong balls, and nails. It's a difficult event to do as a starting event. That's what me and my partner did last year. Takes a little bit to get good at it and a lot of practice. Pretty much what this arm does, it can go up and down. That's about it. We have 2 controllers, 2 separate ones. I control pretty much the base motions, which is turning the whole thing around and up and down. What my partner does is control this section right here and the claw, pretty much allowing me to pick up objects and whatnot. And this year at state, we finished in 7th place out of the 125 schools. That's it. Thank you.
I want to add just a little bit more. These These two guys, we talked about it before we came in. I wanted them to mention 2 controllers for 2 sophomores tired at 9 o'clock at night when I make them practice. They would argue, and then I'd have to tell them it's all about teamwork and cooperation, because really, if one guy's off, then it ruins the whole event. So those guys really, they make a great team. So I'm just going to go ahead right now and invite anybody else that would like to come up and talk about their events. There's a number of study events that were mentioned. Those aren't as fun to look at, but if anybody else would like to talk, the microphone's yours. Anyone? All right, if not, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, not so fast. We want to take a chance to recognize your efforts both individually and collectively by the board. And if you will come forward up those stairs, the board has a token of their appreciation and recognition, in keeping with our tradition to recognize any individual or group that competes at a state level. Some of you have been here before, and so we're very proud that you're back, and you certainly are setting a high standard for kids in our school and our school district. And I'm sure you've enlightened some of our board members about just these 3 objects, but all of those kids have similar projects. And so when we look to see what's actually going on in the classroom and what kids are doing beyond the day, it's very important to recognize that extra effort and that time. So with that, Mr. Gomez, do you have someone who will help us distribute the recognition?
Yes, myself and the executive board, which is Trustee Winfield and Trustee Hill, will be delivering the awards.
And if you could come after you get it, just come across the stage, watch the cords here, and one last opportunity to recognize you. So first, Jackie Mina. Eric Duran. Alan Del Rio. William Bursich. Jackie, come all the way. Jackie, come all the way across, Jack. Enrique Rosas. Keep coming. Come on over. Come on over. Castro Blas. Miguel Castaneda. Tali Alvarez. Tierra Ware. Paola Castaneda. Javier Medina. Clemente Tirado. Diana Silva. Bashan Davis. Their recognition reads on the awards they're receiving. It's School, City of East Chicago, Board of School Trustees. This award is presented to the student in recognition of your outstanding academic achievement and exceptional performance in this year's 2013 Science Olympiad. And signed by President Gomez and myself. So once again, students, congratulations for a job well done. We have some extra effort here, and this is the sound of a good program. This is a sign of something that's working well. When you have students who participated as former Science Olympiad come back and help the students that are here now, and we're fortunate to have 5 or 6 folks we call EC Central alumni do the same. So if they're in the audience, we'll recognize them. If they're not, we will get this award to them as well. Damaso Flores, Eric Rosas, Armando Cabrera, Guadalupe Castro, Beatriz Herrera, and Adriana Rivera. And certainly nothing happens without good leaders and committed, dedicated teachers who are willing to do a whole lot of things in the classroom, other extra activities, and then really coordinate this effort. This is a very challenging, difficult activity that leads to what we think is promising experiences for students. And our kids here are competing well and they're doing outstanding work. But it doesn't happen without these three individuals. First, a lady who's not here, who has been instrumental in this for a number of years, science teacher Elizabeth Rivera. And certainly this year, Peter Sedniker, if you would come forward. And our head sponsor and coach, Eric Kundich. We need to talk, Mr. McCollum, to see if we can find some space to advertise and promote these objects and these creations in our school on a regular basis, just like we do all the other trophies we have here. So, once again, congratulations for a job well done. Thank you. Next item you have, it's in your packet set before you today. On Wednesday, March 20th, Central High School junior Martina Martinez participated in a panel discussion at the Workforce Summit 2013 held in Maryville with other high school students in Northwest Indiana. A panel of students discussed various topics related to career and technical education and the impact it has made on their educational careers. Special thanks to Mrs. Drayden, Mr. Melvin Harding, college and career specialist, and for Board Member Terrence Hill for his being there and his support of that day. Also, next item is you're familiar with the AVID program that we've had here for a number of years. Happy to announce that Jacqueline Fernandez, a former EC student, was invited to be a speaker at this year's 2013 Summer Institute, which is the National Institute in Indianapolis. Of the more than 1,500 essays, Jacqueline's essay was approved and her story stood out, and she's been recognized and rewarded for that effort by asking to be a speaker at that conference. Her essay said, "In pursuit of success, dream big," and so she'll be down there hopefully with our team from AVID and also other students going in there. So congratulations to Jackie Fernandez. It's one of those alumni that came back. So. From East Chicago Public Library, next second week in April is Library Week in East Chicago, but before that we've had a number of students from Franklin Academy get involved with the Night of the Stars program at the Public Library. They're recognizing students who exhibit the most enthusiasm and interest in reading. In addition to their love of books, they must show good citizenship in school and around the community. These students were nominated by their teachers, and they will be recognized by the Chicago Public Library April 18th, and so you have a list of their names as well. And our last announcement is we're gearing up for enrollment for next year, and you have in your packet the early childhood education announcement for 3-, 4-, and 5-year-olds, which is also for kindergarten. Those registrations will be April 18th from 8:30 to 11:30 in all elementary buildings, and again on Thursday, May 9th from 3 to 5:30. The purpose is to enroll our new children in our pre-K and K programs. Early childhood teachers, administrators, and everyone will be on hand to answer any questions. So you have a little bit more detailed list there of what people need when they come. So that's all I have, Mr. Gomez. Oh, one more? Sorry. We highlighted last week, we've not had a chance to recognize this young man, but we will. The indoor track season was held. We had teams competing in 2 relays and the 55-meter, which is a little different than the spring. Our own Kenneth Lloyd won the first indoor title at a school record of 6 feet 10 inches. So if you take a look at a doorway as you go out, that's about how high that is, maybe a little shorter. But the indoor state record is 7 feet, so he's 2 inches away from that record, and he's certainly a leading candidate to have a good season this coming spring, so we look forward to keeping an eye on him, and we'll bring him back at a later time, to recognize him. That's all I have, Mr. Gomez. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Harding. Moving on to business. E1, recommendation for approval of professional development request. Is there a motion to accept those?
I believe you have a revised copy from our discussion last night.
Yes.
It's been corrected.
Professional development.
This is item 1, recommendation for approval of professional development request.
I make the motion, Mr. President.
Motion by Trustee Monroe,
I second.
and a motion seconded by Trustee Perez. Your question, Frank?
Okay, I have only one question. Just wanted to go on record. I'm real concerned about Title I, Title II, Title III, any type of title dollars being expended at this point in time. Just wanted to go on record.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Rivera,
No.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Trustee Hill, Trustee Winfield,
Yes.
Trustee Monroe,
Yes.
Trustee Perez,
Yes.
Trustee Ramos,
Yes.
Chairman Gomez.
Yes. Next item is a recommendation for approval of School City v. Chicago policies. This is a first reading to make changes. To board members, it's letters 2A, 2B, 2C, and 2D. Is there a motion to accept those on first reading?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. President.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Rodriguez, seconded by Trustee Monroe. Question on this?
Yes, I'd like to say something, Mr. President.
Trustee Hill?
Yeah, these policies was in our packet before, but we never had the opportunity to go over any of these. So I think we need to discuss that further, because I never went over anything. These didn't. Mr. Lesnick?
This is the first reading of these policies, which means you do not adopt them tonight.
Okay.
This is basically putting it on the table for you to consider. And when it comes up again, you will have an opportunity if you'd like to amend these policies or change these policies at that time.
Okay.
So, can I ask a question, Mr. President?
Yes,
So
Trustee
if I'm
Rivera.
hearing, our attorney and listening to Board Trustee Hill, we're asking, can we ask for a particular date to make sure that we go over these again?
You can pick whatever
Okay.
date you're going to
We'll
have
leave that
another
with-
meeting on that you know for sure.
We'll leave that to the President to do that.
Normally, it's at the very next meeting. That you have a first reading today, the very next meeting would be a second and final reading, and the adoption.
You
That's
you
by our
might want
bylaws.
to consider doing it at the second meeting in April, because
Yes.
April's a month where a number of people are going to be gone for a while.
Yes.
And we'll address that in the work session, Trustee Rivera.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. President,
Trustee Rodriguez.
just for the record, in our policy committee, all four of these items were addressed and was approved by the committee. Trustee Monroe, as well as Trustee Rivera, was present at the committee. So just wanted to note that as record.
Thank you, and I will schedule a meeting for the board to review these and make any amendments if they want to for upcoming final vote in April. If no other questions, roll call, please.
Trustee Rivera,
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Trustee Hill,
Yes.
Trustee Winfield,
Yes.
Trustee Monroe,
Yes.
Trustee Perez,
Yes.
Trustee Ramos,
Yes.
Chairman Gomez.
Yes. The next item is recommendation for approval of permission to proceed with bond counsel. This is a recommendation made by Laura Hubinger. Is there a motion to accept this?
I don't even know what this is.
I make a motion.
There's a motion by trustee Rodriguez. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Monroe. Questions?
Mr. President, if I can, I understand the recommendation is that the board hire the firm of Shanahan and Shanahan as the bond counsel to look at the refinancing of pension bonds. I'm very, very, very familiar with Mr. Jim Shanahan, the head of that committee, head of that firm, and he is one of the premier bond counsel in the state of Indiana and the state of Illinois. I would recommend him highly.
Mr. President, was this conversation ever had in one of our executive sessions? I don't recall any of this.
I never heard of it either.
There was not, I don't recall a specific discussion of this. If Ms. Hubinger is here, if you'd like to address
Yeah, but
question.
I don't recall any documentation, anything that even remotely identifies with me in terms of any conversation on bond counsel, and I don't think that's a good rapport.
Chairman Rivera, I believe that was in our packet.
It's not in here.
Ms. Hubinger, can you help us identify where this is at? I'm sorry, we found it. It's the last page of your board packet.
We never talk about it. No, right. Last page.
Mr. President,
Trustee Rodriguez?
are we up for discussion, or is the motion still on the table?
Yes, there's discussion. I believe Trustee Rivera is looking for his paper.
Ms. Hubinger, can you explain a little bit about this?
Yes, I can. The school city has our pension bonds that we entered into agreement in 2006. In 2003, it qualifies for refinancing because of the lower interest rates that are available. I'm coming before the board this evening to have permission to at least speak with the bond counsel Shanahan to at least take a look at this, give us a price on the cost of refinancing to see if it would behoove the school district in saving funds. As you know, this is a tax-based fund to pay this, and we are under a tax cap law, and therefore we are not collecting our full tax, so it would behoove the district to investigate savings on our bond payments that we pay in June and December. Currently, the pension bond is scheduled to be paid off in December 2020. So we are looking to see if we can save interest while the rates are available to us.
All right, Ms. Hubinger, am I correct? You are not recommending that we hire Shanahan and Shanahan, but only for you to contact them and find out the particulars about what their cost would be?
Correct. I will come back to the board with that proposal.
I still have a question. Okay. As the financial chairperson, there was never any conversation on this subject matter at all. We have not presented this in front of the board until just recently now. And for me, the protocol should be that we should be having that discussion in an executive session or some form of work session so that way we can be clear before something is put on the table like this. I'm just not confident, and I'm not the type of person who doesn't want to save money. Oh, no. I think everyone out there would like to save every penny they can. But it's just the process is not comfortable with me.
I understand your concern. My request this evening is the request to contact Shanahan so I can obtain the information, because I have nothing to present to you at this point. It's just permission to proceed to contact them to obtain the information, so I will have something to present to you.
I understand what you're asking for. I just don't think the protocol should have been this way. That's just me personally.
Ms. Hubinger, can I ask a question? Or in the past, what is the practice here? Is it to just go ahead and proceed with one, or is this something that you might consider other bond councils for?
We have several relationships with different bond councils. We have a relationship through our building corp. There are bond councils that are available, but with my experience with the Shanahan group, their pricing has been better. But in order for me to present that to you, I need to contact them to get this. The normal procedure is I would normally just go ahead and contact them to get me the information for you. But in our past history here, over the past year, I've always come to the board to ask permission to proceed with that so I can obtain that information. It is my goal to make sure that I direct the board with good information on fiscal responsibility, and I strongly feel that we should at least take the opportunity to review the refinancing opportunities that are out there. And that's what Shanahan would do for us, is give us those opportunities to review.
Mr. President, one more thing.
Trustee Rivera.
The difficulty I have is that when we have these agendas that they're presented to us and all of a sudden we get something put on the agenda, prior to, we've been having conversation about everything on the agenda. And all of a sudden this pops up. Not to say that there's anything wrong. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there should be a protocol. And it's important to follow protocols, because if we don't follow protocols, the next thing we know, anything could be put on any piece of paper, and then we may end up having issues.
Mr. President.
That's all I'm saying.
Mr. President.
Trustee Perez.
This paper was in our packet. The last page in our docket, in our
Not this recommendation.
binder.
Recommendation wasn't in the packet.
I'm sorry,
Not in
Ms.
the old packet.
Ms. Schubinger, I just have one final question. The letter stipulates Shanahan and Shanahan, and the...
Excuse me, Mr. President. Here's the old agenda. There is nothing on that. Making that recommendation. I'm sorry to argue this, but I will continue to argue, especially if I have my two documents here from the meeting that we had last night.
Ms. Schubinger, the question I have is the packet specifically identifies Shanahan and Shanahan.
That is correct.
And the agenda does not specify Shanahan and Shanahan. If we pass this, does this open the door for you to seek other bond counsels?
No. Well, it was just permission to proceed to contact Shanahan and Shanahan for my memo.
Okay.
That's what I'm seeking this evening, is permission to proceed.
Okay.
Ms. Hume, Mr. President?
Trustee Rodriguez?
Ms. Hume, is there a cost to reaching out to Shanahan?
That's what I need to contact them, and I did not want to contact them first to gather that data.
Okay.
And that's what my intention is, to come back to the board with this information to see how you would like to actually proceed and react. Right now, I cannot give you any information. I'd like to be able to contact Shanahan and Shanahan, because there are other bond counsels that we're dealing with, but this one can come forth with us on the pension. The Indiana Bond Bank has sent documentation, and they are quite pricey. So I wanted to be able to ask Shanahan to send me something so I can come back to you.
Is Shanahan, what's the name of the group, Shanahan?
Shanahan and Shanahan.
Shanahan and Shanahan. Is that the only group that we can deal with?
We have bond counsel through our building corp, okay? And we've done business with Shanahan and Shanahan before in this district, when we actually did all of our bond issuance when we did Central High School. So this district does have experience with Shanahan and Shanahan. We have not contacted them. They've used Kroger, Hargis, and Regis, and I want permission from this board to be able to at least speak with them as well.
Ms. Schubinger, I can speak for myself, and not necessarily for the board, but I think I'd like to have a cost analysis so that if you mentioned that they might be the most competitive cost here, we'd like to see something, or at least I would like to see something that shows you what the cost differences are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you repeat that again, Mr. President? I can't hear you with these monitoring systems.
Can I help a minute here? I think I think what we're doing here is exactly what the intent is to seek.
I still can't hear you real clear.
Is to seek requests for proposals for this service. This is a professional service, and so this isn't a recommendation for anything that commits the board to any financial obligation. It's a matter of requesting information because we already have an ongoing relationship with the Building Corporation Bond Council. It's a matter of a phone call or a fax requesting the same information. So you're just getting preliminary data. But because of the nature of a large sum of money and the term of the money, you want to be sure that you're getting a balance there. So in essence, you're trying to get a ballpark figure from at least two companies, and maybe more if there's needing to be. But that's really what it is. It's not anything beyond that. There's no commitment between proposals. At a later point, once analysis has been done over the cost to be that bonding company, then it would be presented back to you in terms of who all was interested in that providing the service, and then you would have a chance to either accept our recommendation or choose another of the vendors. But we're not there yet, so this is just an opportunity to request the information.
Mr. President?
Trustee Rodriguez.
The only concern that I have is the fact that we're only contacting Shanahan. They were mentioned. And I think what would serve the best interest of the corporation would be to request it out. And just if Ms. Huminger, if you're looking for information, just put out an RFI, request for information, and have these bond councils respond back to you. But if we reach out to just one attorney, that's why we have a concern in terms of only one attorney being mentioned in this packet.
Mr. President, I agree with Mr. Rodriguez.
Ms. Hubinger, go ahead.
Mr. President, I do want to make the board aware that I have been contacted by Indiana Bond Council. I do have documentation from them, and since we have a relationship with Kroger, Hargis, and Regis, I would be obtaining information from them as well. So, they're just one more I wanted permission to seek after. So, but I can go for more than just that.
One more point, if I may, Mr. President.
Trustee Rivera, go ahead.
That in the future, we make sure we cover this as we were supposed to in our executive session. We probably ran out of time, but we need to cover things like this so that way it doesn't have to be brought up into conversation.
Our work sessions.
In our work sessions.
Ms. Hubinger, it sounds like the board would like you to get more than one proposal. So,
Certainly.
Yeah. Thank you. Roll call.
Trustee Rivera.
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez.
No.
Can I rescind?
After all the votes are done, you can ask to change your vote.
Trustee Hill.
Yes.
Trustee Winfield.
Yes.
Trustee Monroe.
Yes.
Trustee Perez.
Yes.
Trustee Ramos. Chairman Gomez.
Yes.
I'd like to rescind my vote to no.
Next item, number 4, School City v. Chicago, Resolution number 1, Field Elementary School, recommendation for approval. I'm going to ask Attorney Lesniak to speak on this resolution.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. President, the resolution reads as follows: a resolution rescinding a resolution transferring real property located at 3549 through 3551 Block Avenue and 3223 Washington Street, commonly known as Eugene Field Elementary School, to the East Chicago Redevelopment Commission via intergovernmental transfer and authorizing the execution of deeds. Whereas the elected Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago, Indiana, who took office on January 1st, 2013, were elected by the citizens of the City of East Chicago and are charged by statute with the duty to provide, supervise, and direct the public education of the children and adult residents of the City of East Chicago. And whereas the School City of East Chicago for many years owned and operated a building commonly known as the Eugene Field Elementary School, and had not long ago invested several millions of dollars into Eugene Field Elementary School, such that its insured replacement value is $12.9 million, and its contents are insured for $1.1 million, and was and is a valuable asset of the school city of East Chicago. And whereas during the 2012-2013 school year, Eugene Field Elementary School has and is housing in the transitional alternative educational program for the school city of East Chicago, servicing 80 to 100 students plus teachers and staff, and is not and was not a vacant school building. And whereas the Eugene Field Elementary School is an integral part of the school city of East Chicago's cost reduction program, which was approved by the prior appointed Board of Trustees and intended to be available for possible use as an administrative building or use as an elementary school. And whereas the previously appointed Board of Trustees of the school city of East Chicago approved changes to the educational system such that all of the 7th and 8th graders in the city are housed at Black Junior High School, and all of the 5th and 6th graders are housed at what is now Franklin Academy, closed Franklin as an elementary school, and created 4 Decay elementary schools, all of which has caused numerous problems, caused increased transportation of 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, has disrupted neighborhood schools, has caused overcrowding in several schools, and has eliminated some neighborhood schools. And whereas despite having previously approved the need for a transitional school at the Eugene Field Elementary School building, and despite having already approved a cost reduction program that would alleviate any deficiencies in the 2013 budget, which cost reduction program included the use of Field Elementary School for 2013 and beyond, the previous appointed Board of Trustees purportedly adopted a resolution on December 5, 2012, less than 1 month prior to the end of their term of office, transferring the Eugene Field Elementary School to the East Chicago Redevelopment Commission for no consideration for economic development purposes and redevelopment of the North Harbor and lakefront area, and specifically to promote post-secondary and graduate education. And whereas the East Chicago Redevelopment Commission is not an educational institution such as the school city of East Chicago, who can and does have programs with post-high school educational institutions and is best equipped to develop university and post-high school education in the city of East Chicago. And whereas the Eugene Field Elementary School was the neighborhood elementary school that had previously serviced what is now called the North Harbor and lakefront development areas, and the development of those areas will be hampered by the lack of a neighborhood elementary school. And whereas the previously appointed Board of Trustees, by its purported resolution transferring Eugene Field Elementary School to the East Chicago Redevelopment Commission, has allowed for the sale of that valuable asset to a private entity, and the proceeds of such sale to be used by the East Chicago Redevelopment Commission rather than the school city of East Chicago. And whereas the previously appointed Board of Trustees of the school city of East Chicago, a lame duck board, by a purported resolution 1 month before the end of its term, has attempted to limit and interfere with the discretionary functions of the newly elected Board of Trustees of the school city of East Chicago by finding that the Eugene Field Elementary School building is no longer needed by the school city of East Chicago, by directing that the transitional programs for East Chicago's students cease to be conducted at the Eugene Field Elementary School, and that the building be vacated by January 22, 2013, by directing that the Eugene Field Elementary School not be used for administrative purposes, and finding that the Eugene Elementary School is no longer needed for classroom educational or other purposes. And whereas this newly elected Board of Trustees finds that the Eugene Field Elementary School is needed by the school city for classroom administrative and educational purposes, and is needed to fulfill the educational programs and the reorganization contemplated by the newly elected Board of Trustees of the school city of East Chicago. And whereas this elected Board of Trustees of the school city of East Chicago finds that it is in the best interest of the children and citizens of the school city of East Chicago that Eugene Field Elementary School be retained by the school city of East Chicago. It is now therefore resolved by the Board of Trustees of the school city of East Chicago that, number one, the resolution of the school city of East Chicago transferring its real property located at 3549 through 3551 Block Avenue and 3223 Washington Street, commonly known as Eugene Field Elementary School, to the East Chicago Redevelopment Commission via intergovernmental transfer, and authorizing the execution of deeds purportedly adopted by the previous appointed Board of School Trustees of the School City of East Chicago on December 5th, 2012, be and is now rescinded and held for naught. Number 2, that the deeds purportedly conveying the real estate to the East Chicago Redevelopment Commission signed on December 27, 2012 by the outgoing President and Secretary of the outgoing appointed Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago 4 days before the end of their term are hereby rescinded and held for naught. And number 3, the attorneys for the School City of East Chicago are hereby authorized and directed to take, use, and employ all legal remedies available to the School City of East Chicago to cause the return of the real estate commonly known as the Eugene Field Elementary School to the School City of East Chicago. Adopted this 27th day of March 2013 by the Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago.
Thank you, Attorney Lesniak. Are there questions? Hearing none, a roll call, please.
Motion to
You
rescind.
need a motion.
Thank you. I thought there was a motion. Sorry about that. Is there a motion for the recommendation?
I make a motion to rescind.
Second.
There's a motion by Trustee Hill, seconded by Trustee Rodriguez. Now are the questions.
Mr. President, so the vote is that if you want to rescind the previous resolution, you vote yes. If you do not want to rescind it, you vote no.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Rivera,
No.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Trustee Hill,
Yes.
Trustee Winfield,
Yes.
Trustee Monroe,
Yes.
Trustee Perez,
Yes.
Trustee Ramos, Chairman Gomez.
Yes. Next item is School City of East Chicago Resolution Number 2 regarding the Marktown, Roxana, and King Centers. Attorney Lesniak.
Yeah. Mr. President, the resolution reads as follows. It's a resolution rescinding a resolution transferring real property commonly known as the Martin Luther King Center, Roxana Center, and Marktown Center to the East Chicago Redevelopment Commission via intergovernmental transfer and authorizing the execution of deeds. Whereas the elected Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago took office on January 1, 2013, and were elected to and by statute have the duty and responsibility to provide, supervise, and direct the public education of the children and adult residents of the City of East Chicago. And whereas the School City of East Chicago has for many years owned the real estate commonly known as Roxana Center, Martin Luther King Center, and Marktown Center, and at times have operated educational and recreation programs at said facilities, such as Head Start and tutoring and recreational programs, and at times have earned income from said facilities. And whereas the previous appointed Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago has, less than 1 month before the end of their term of office, purportedly adopted a resolution on December 5, 2012, transferring said real estate to the East Chicago Redevelopment Commission for the alleged purpose of encouraging recreational, educational, and after-school programs to benefit the children residing in the School City of East Chicago. And whereas the East Chicago Redevelopment Commission is not in the business of providing recreational, educational, after-school programs while the School City of East Chicago is, and whereas these real properties have substantial value and the previous appointed board has allegedly transferred them to the East Chicago Redevelopment Commission with the knowledge that in the event the Redevelopment Commission sells these properties to a private entity, the Redevelopment Commission will receive the proceeds of the sale and not the school city. And whereas none of these properties are a significant drain on the School City of East Chicago's 2013 budget, which has already been balanced by the previous appointed board adopting cost-saving programs, which does not mention these properties, and whereas the previous appointed Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago, a lame duck board, by adopting the purported resolution transferring these properties to the East Chicago Redevelopment Commission less than 1 month prior to the end of their term of office, has limited and interfered with the discretionary functions of the newly elected Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago to provide, supervise, and manage their statutory discretionary duties. It is now therefore resolved by the Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago that 1, the resolution of the School City of East Chicago transferring its real property commonly known as Martin Luther King Center, Roxana Center, Marktown Center to the East Chicago Redevelopment Commission via intergovernmental transfer and authorizing the execution of deeds purportedly adopted by the previous appointed Board of Trustees to the School City of East Chicago on December 5th, 2012, be and is now rescinded and held for naught. The deeds purportedly conveying said real estate to the East Chicago Redevelopment Commission signed on December 27, 2012 by the President and Secretary of the outgoing appointed Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago 4 days before the end of their term are hereby rescinded and held for naught, and the attorneys for the School City of East Chicago are hereby authorized and directed to take, use, and employ all legal remedies available to the School City of East Chicago to cause the return of the real estate commonly known as Martin Luther King Center, Roxana Center, and Marktown Center to the School City of East Chicago. Adopted this 27th day of March 2013 by the Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago.
Thank you, Attorney Lesniak. Is there a motion to accept resolution number 2?
I make a motion to accept the resolution for number 2.
Motion by Trustee Hill.
Second.
Second by Trustee Rodriguez. Questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Rivera,
No.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Trustee Hill,
Absolutely.
Trustee Winfield,
Yes.
Trustee Monroe,
Yes.
Trustee Perez,
Yes.
Trustee Ramos,
Yes.
Chairman Gomez.
Yes. The next item is a recommendation for approval of School City of East Chicago Workman's Compensation Settlement. Attorney Lesniak.
Mr. President, this is, I think, the last thing for me to do today. The recommendation is that the board, we're asking the board's approval to recommend a settlement of workman's comp liens that we have filed against proceeds from personal injury lawsuits. This is basically getting back some of the workman's comp money that was paid out to some of our employees, to 2 of our employees who had filed lawsuits against the persons that caused their injuries and received some settlements for that. We're trying to recover part of our costs from the workman's comp. Basically, what we're getting back is $3,500 on one case and $2,000 on the other. This amounts to about 50% of what we would have gotten back had they won 100% of their lawsuit. Well, they didn't try the case, they settled it, and I'm recommending that the board approve these settlements.
Is there a motion to accept this
Make a
recommendation?
motion to accept.
Motion by Trustee Ramos.
Second.
Second by Trustee Perez. Questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Rivera,
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Trustee Hill,
Yes.
Trustee Winfield,
Yes.
Trustee Monroe,
Yes.
Trustee Perez,
Yes.
Trustee Ramos,
Yes.
Chairman Gomez.
Yes. Attorney Lesniak, sorry to disappoint you, but I have one more task for you, and that's public forum. Before we ask the public to come up, could you address the public on the rules for the speaking in front of the board?
I guess I wasn't done. The next item on the agenda is the public forum. That's the opportunity for our patrons and the public to address the board with your comments and your concerns. It is not a question and answer period. Time for you to express your comments and concerns. And just because the board does not respond to you does not mean they have not paid attention. There are notes being taken, and appropriate responses will be made by the administration as required. The rules are that you have to sign in, and those that signed in, you have 3 minutes to express yourself. We ask that you state your name and address at the beginning.
Juan Andrade.
Good evening, Juan Andrade, 4005 Elm Street, here in East Chicago, Indiana. I guess with the Indiana Supreme Court striking down the Indiana Teachers Association lawsuit, There's going to be more opportunities for the voucher program to allow parents to take their children out of low-performing schools, not only in this area but throughout the whole state of Indiana. So it's not good for low-performing schools. So you need to make sure that do what you need to do in order to help improve the school city of East Chicago. It's major because it means loss of students, it means loss of income and everything associated with that. So this is a critical decision, and unless maybe they take it to the U.S. Supreme Court along with maybe other school districts throughout the state of Indiana that believe that the decision by the Indiana Supreme Court was incorrect, and it's not going to be good news for low-performing schools. Also, it also means that failure is not an option. The reason I bring that up is because I have a book here called Failure is Not an Option. It is a book written by Alan M. Blankstein, if I'm pronouncing that correct. Mr. Blankenstein is going to be a guest on Nuestra Comunidad, Northwest Indiana, this Saturday morning. And he's going to be talking about the book, as well as he's also the president of the Hope Foundation, which has to do with funding schools on certain things there. So we're going to talk about that. So that I want to make sure that hopefully our listeners, community, listen to our program. We're utilizing our program to do a lot of programs that have to do with the issue of education. So failure is not an option. Failure is not an option. Failure is not an option. We got to do what we got to do to help improve our school cities. Thank you.
Thank you. Byron Duke Florence.
Good evening, Mr. President, board members, superintendent. Let me say a couple things. Number one, thank you, Mr. Lesnick, for advising us of some of the things that this board is going to attempt to do, especially with the declaratory judgment. I think that was on time. But let me say this. You know, I know the board is not responsible for some of the things that were done or even left over by the other board, but remember, you're accountable still for making sure that these things are carried out in a correct and timely fashion. Case in point, at the last board meeting, I was appalled to find out that the board decided they didn't want to hear the appeals of the students and the parents. I think that was a big mistake. I want you to understand that not only are you putting those students' future at stake, you're putting the board in a legal situation. At some point, if that individual goes to Superior Court, and I'm telling you, the judge is going to say, we don't have time to have those kids out of school. They need to be back in school. They're going to rule in those kids' favor. The parents are already going to have to go out and hire an attorney and have to recover their money. They're going to sue this board, and you're going to be tied up in court paying off judgments. So, you know, I think you need to be advised of that. Remember, you campaign on an issue. It's about the kids. Let's not get caught doing it to the kids. It's about the kids. Let's do something for them. I think I want to talk a little bit too about that. The credit recovery program is showing that it's failing. The teachers don't want it. The students have found how to circumvent it. You know, they go to school just the last couple of weeks and they pass. I mean, you know, I think that needs to be done away with. I really don't see any significance for it. You know, here again, semester's almost up. Some of the things that you're going to do, you're probably going to be able to address come July 1st. You know, but I think sit down and think in your executive sessions of the future outcome of some of these decisions that you're going to have to make. Here again, I'm going to go back to the situation with that expulsion. We already have a high dropout rate. You know, and any kind of program that's disallowing a student to achieve some form of education, we're going out the door backwards. And I think we need to get that kind of straightened out. You know, at this point, I understand that each board member should at least have some kind of significance of addressing what's going on in the school setting with the parents and the students. And I recommend that at some point you have a district meeting in each district to get the parents involved. And I think you should take that into consideration.
Thank you. Wayne Josway.
I'm Wayne Josby, 2511 Walnut Lane, Hobart, Indiana, Science Department Chair and also Second Vice President of American Federation of Teachers. I wish they didn't leave, but boy, this community is in great hands with those fine young men and young women that we have here. I wish we could give them another round of applause. They're great. Okay. I'm up here for the teachers themselves. As you know, as many of you are aware, they have gone away from lifetime licenses for teachers, which we all go back to the classroom and learn. We've had several professional development days, 5 at the end of the school year last year, several this year. And what I'm showing you is when I go to these clinics, I get these certificates that states the number of contact hours we have. To renew our license, the state has several ways: going to college, 90 contact hours, and a variety of methods. I'm just asking that administration hand the teachers certificates stating how many contact hours they have. If a teacher doesn't have to go to college, if they get these certificates themselves, that means more time that the teachers could spend with the students. In other words, we're helping the students. We're teaching the students. And we're also counseling the students. You know as well as I do, some of our students have severe handicaps based on their home life, and we are here for them. So if we can have these certificates, that means less studying time for us in the classroom, you know, and more contact time with our students, more time to spend here at East Chicago. The second part, I'm here as Science Department Chair. Our textbooks haven't been renewed. Our cycle is every 6 years. 3 years ago, we were supposed to have our textbooks renewed. Last year, we had a few publishers come in, and they present the Science Department with their agenda, their books and all that, how they align to state standards. What I'm trying to say real quick is we approved the books as we've done in the past. Come in the fall, my teachers in my department, and I don't mean my teachers, but I mean the school city's teachers, they asked me, where's our new science books? I asked a few people, they're not to be found. But what did I discover? Discovery education. Somebody came and put Discovery education on us. They're putting it down our throats. It's electronics. No longer textbooks in our students' hands, but electronics. When I went to Hasty, the publisher said $75 for the ebook, $80 total for the ebook and the textbook. And I don't know too many colleges to where you don't have to purchase textbooks for your young men, your young ladies. So they took the decision out of the science teacher's hands, or the other hand, and put it in their hands. All I'm asking is we have a chance to coordinate our activities. Thank you. Have a safe holiday.
Dieta Wright.
Dieta Wright, 9710 Monroe, Crown Point, Indiana. Last school board meeting, I discussed the in-grade policy and the big concern that we have here at East Chicago Central. So just to quickly reiterate a few points, we feel as though the students have academically checked out because of the in-grade policy. The in-grade policy lacks academic integrity, and the in-grade policy inadvertently affects the attendance rates because students don't have to show up to make credit because they can take it on credit recovery. So after the school board meeting, there was much discussion in the building on the in-grade policy. So AFT 511 teachers decided to conduct a survey from the teachers to see how the teachers felt about the survey. So we had 9 questions. We distributed all the surveys to the teachers, and I'm going to give you all the results. These results are not biased. I had a couple other teachers watch me as I calculated the results. So here they are. Number 1, it says the no grade policy has effectively increased student achievement. 92% of the teachers strongly disagree with that, number one. Number two, the no grade policy falters a culture of optimal learning for students. 94% of the teachers strongly disagree. Number three, the no grade policy is an effective tool to prepare students for higher learning or a career. 90% of the teachers strongly disagree. Number four, the no grade policy encourages a sense of responsibility among students. 96 strongly disagree. And I'm going to jump down to number 6 because I know we have number 9 because we have time constraints. I'm confident that students who transfer to another high school or transition to college will have the proper grade recorded when they leave Central with an N grade/no grade. 85% of the teachers disagree. So you all have a tool in your hand that illustrates to you how we, the teachers, feel about the in-grade policy. We are the ones that teach the students. So we're asking for a work session. We're asking for more discussion on this issue. We're asking that you all hear our voices, and we're asking that you include us on the curriculum committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Linda Celestine.
Absolutely.
Linda Celestine, 4002 IB, Chicago, lifelong resident of East Chicago. I've been a teacher for over 30 years. I am also the AFT third vice president. I'm going to be passing some letters to you, providing a clarification letter on budgetary procedures and some issues that we would like you to be aware of in the district. I'm going to address a few of those very quickly that you will find in the letter. One of the issues is discipline. It's a serious problem that prevents quality instruction from occurring in the classroom. In the letter, you'll find a couple of suggestions that we would like to discuss with you sometime that might help improve this. I mean, this is a super duper important issue going on right now. Personally, I just got punched by a kid 2 weeks ago that sent me to the hospital, so it is an issue. Another issue that we find very important is the lack of communication, especially in the buildings, in the individual buildings. We used to have what was called building committees, where the teachers would meet once a month with the administrator, basically the principal, and discuss issues going on in the school. Very often these issues were solved right there at the meeting. This was done away with by administration, and it was a vital tool for each building. Another issue is the decrease in band and essential extracurricular activities. For instance, many students used to participate in band at the high school. I personally find it so sad that I will go to these fests and parades and there's no band from East Chicago Central. That's sad. Other extracurricular activities have been cut under this administration. At the elementary school, there is absolutely nothing. There's no basketball, no volleyball, no nothing to keep our kids busy. Very simple. We are asking, I know in the past few years there hasn't been very much communication between the board and the AFT. Keep in mind that we represent the teachers. We represent the teachers and their concerns. We're asking for work sessions with the board to address these issues that affect all of the children of East Chicago. Thank you. I'm going to bring you up the letters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sherry Adams.
Hi, my name is Sherry Adams. I reside at the Cardinal Terrace apartment complex in East Chicago. I'm a lifelong East Chicago resident. I'm here to speak in support of Isaiah Smith. March of 2013, this month, makes 4 years that I've gone to the fitness center. So I've been going there for a really long time. Coach Peterson, Isaiah Smith, there's another coach instructor there, his name is Jerome. Those guys are fantastic. I was away about approximately 3 weeks ago taking care of some business, and when I got back, I jokingly asked where Mr. Isaiah Smith was, and I got the silent treatment. Nobody was willing to tell me anything about where he was or what was going on. I had to actually ask one of the other patrons of the fitness center to tell me what had happened. I understand that an altercation, I believe a verbal one, went on between Mr. Smith and a student, and he was temporarily relieved of his duties until something could be figured out. Ever since then, I've been asking, who can I talk to, who can I speak to on this gentleman's behalf, on his behalf and behalf of those other 2 instructors up there that not just are there to work, they actually care about the work that they're doing. They care about those students that come in and out of there. They've actually even started a student-athlete ministry for the students there. And I'm very upset that he's not there at his job doing what he not only is supposed to do, but what he should be doing and has always done for the students and the adult patrons that come to that gym. So again, I'm speaking up on behalf of Isaiah Smith. He needs to be reinstated back into his job immediately. Another thing I want to touch on real quick concerning East Chicago's Fitness Center is, again, I've been there for 4 years, and for 4 years, I can tell you on one hand the number of coaches I've seen come up there and actually participate in and actually train those student athletes. I think it's pathetic and sad. I'm not sure, but if they are receiving a separate stipend other than their teaching stipend, I suggest you all snatch it from them with the quickness. They're not earning it. I talked to a gentleman today. I asked him last year, are you a student because you look so young? He says, no, I'm one of the coaches. Today I saw him on my way out and I asked him, who are you a coach for? Who do you coach? He said, I coach the boys' football team. I said, a freshman or varsity? He said, varsity. I said, you know what? I don't have any children at all, and I don't have any children in this school system, but I want to thank you because for the entire 4 years I've been coming to this gym, working out. I've seen you come, and not just during football season. This guy comes winter, spring, summer, and fall. He's there for those guys, he trains them, and he's there with them. How can you ask a student or a student athlete to do something that you, one, are not willing to do yourself or haven't at least done it one time, and two, you're not even bothering to show up to see that they're properly training to where they're supposed to? I think one of the reasons why a third of that equipment is messed up at that fitness center is because these children aren't using it properly, and they're not using it properly because Coach Peterson, Isaiah Smith, and Jerome don't have enough time.
Ms. Adams, 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Carlisle Edwards. Okay.
Gone.
Thank you very much. That concludes the action items for this evening. We want to thank everybody for coming to the board meeting. Also want to remind the speakers, if you didn't catch Attorney Lesniak's statements earlier, we'd appreciate it. The board actually asked that you not mention names when you come up in front of the podium. That being said, I'd like to thank everybody and hope you have a happy holiday. The next date and time of our next board meeting will be August 25th at 6 p.m. at Carrie Gosh School. Roll call for adjournment. Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion.
Motion by Trustee Rodriguez, seconded by Trustee Perez. Roll call.
Trustee Rivera. Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Hill. Trustee Winfield.
Yes.
Trustee Monroe.
Yes.
Trustee Perez.
Yes.
Trustee Ramos.
Yes.
Chairman Gomez.
Yes.